Indian society is literally the easiest market to fool right now, especially when it comes to nutrition, just because there isn't enough people like me or like knowledgeable people who, number one, have done the change for themselves, number two, have done the self analysis on the things they ate and the way it impacted their nutrition and the way it impacted their physiques and the way it impacted their health. My name is Shubhankar Darbari. I made the best transformation in internet history. And if you're watching videos like this, you probably resonate a lot with the younger version of me who found himself stuck in an unhealthy body, as well as ridden with different types of addiction and like the worst types of addiction. Maybe that be regarded to porn, masturbation, food. But don't worry, I share the crucial, no bullshit information that I learned from my journey of going from retard tube to current tube. These are tips and tricks that you can implement in your own life to see progress. This is a topic that comes up a lot, especially like currently when I'm home in India, that brown genetics are terrible, and people sort of use this stuff as a coping mechanism for their own lack of competency and their own lack of effort and to justify their laziness. So blaming lack of progress on something that is out of your control, like your genetics, is, in my opinion, a cowardly move. And if you are any ounce of a man, like, you should like overcome this type of stuff. And it's not that I'm saying all of this on a baseless terms, because I literally went from the typical brown kid, that to like a fat obese brown kid, into like someone who's not fat and obese, like, quite clearly. But I feel like there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to like brown genetics and when it comes to the habits that these people sort of adopt for themselves. And the thing we're sold in today's time is really the self improvement lie, which is pretty much using your entire life to justify that, oh, I'm working on myself, I'm improving myself, etc., etc., etc. Whereas that's not the perspective you should have on self-improvement. Self-improvement is a very, very good habit, but if you constantly delude yourself into thinking that, oh yeah, like, it's not happening, but it's fine, I'm self-improving, that's not the mindset to be on if you want to see any sort of progress. Again, I'm not someone who's making baseless assumptions, because I've gone through the transformation myself, and I'm telling you the experiences from the other side. Oh, when it comes to the perspective, you want to view your entire life as a problem and a solution. So you need to identify what sorts of things are problems in your life and what sorts of things you want to solve. So each problem, you need to figure out a solution for it. I struggle with lots of mental health issues as well as lots of physical health issues, which kind of like the combination of both sort of made me live a life which was not true to my masculine imperative. And like that would be reflected in pretty much most things I would set my mind to, may that be with either pursuing a career path or it would be about like dating, which was the pain point at that time, which I identified. Like, I'm just being super honest. Like, I really wanted to like attract like lots of women, and since that was a problem in my life, I solved it via physical fitness. Now that's exactly how you want to view every single problem and solution. Blaming all your problems on something like genetics is the biggest cope possible, and coping will not get you results, whereas solving the problems will get you the results. Problem with the whole imperative of brown genetics or shit is we don't really self-analyze our own lives and the diet and the workouts that we are doing, fail to learn more about our bodies, and it's just a lot of either lack of information or misinformation pushes people to blame their genetics or blame something that is not tangible towards their lack of success per se. If you were to look inwards within like your habits, daily habits, what are the solutions for you having a shit skinny fat Indian physique per se? So your problems might be you probably don't do strength training, you probably don't eat a diet that's high in protein, you probably eat a lot of bullshit carbs, you probably eat a very plant-based, soy-based diet, which would not really like improve your testosterone, because that is the single largest cause of something like a skinny fat physique, where it's pretty much like you have more estrogen in your body than testosterone. So that's why you would see people develop these big bellies, people develop man boobs, and that's pretty much how like an average Indian physique looks like. And that's exactly how I used to look like 2 years ago. You want to sort of lock in with your diet. The changes I made specifically is don't follow the traditional Indian diet per se. Like a lot of the Indian diet is like vegetarian foods are labeled as high protein, but when they're not really high protein. So for example, dal and lentils. I would say that dal and lentils contain more carbohydrates, and per serving, you're almost getting it's almost like a carbohydrate rich meal than a protein rich meal. And you want to replace that with something like for animal based stuff, which is high in like good fats as well as high in like protein. For example, like paneer, yogurt, milk, eggs, cheese. So if you're a vegetarian, from that perspective, you should be able to have all of these foods and like replace those fake sources of protein that are in your diet. Now, if you're non-vegetarian, I want you to like not view not like non-vegetarian food as the enemy. And that's really the problem with the Indian diet, where people would like defend the fuck out of like these bullshit food items, right? They would like protect almost like they're brand ambassadors of this shit. And they would protect these like unhealthy sources of food, cereal, like motherfuckers don't know how to read a nutrition label. That's the most insane part. Like people giving out advice right now in per se Indian society, the majority parents per se are literally like using baseless arguments from baseless things. People would say like, "Oh yeah, this shit has so much protein," and since the word protein sounds like healthier, they would like just throw it around when without even like reading the label, without even like reading anything. Even like the thing is like it's so easy to fool the Indian demographic that you can just write high protein and no one's gonna bother to like turn that little container around and think about like, oh, is it actually high in protein or am I just being fucking scammed? Like high protein milkshakes, how much? 10 grams for like 200 300 calories, bro, are you kidding me? Like the word high protein nowadays is being like thrown around with like so much just confidence and conviction that people just be like, oh, high protein, like good for me, right? But they don't bother to like turn the thing around and just read how much fucking protein's in there. You would realize that the cheese you're putting in your sandwich is way healthier, higher in protein per calorie than your high protein milkshakes. There are companies that are making like hella money. Like for example, like Herbalife. Herbalife has these shakes, and the funny thing is like I used to do this myself. Like I used to like when I started like when I was like ultra obese. Like my parents like enlisted me into this like health and fitness club like in our neighborhood, and it was like the trainer pretty much told me like, oh yeah, you have to drink these Herbalife meal replacing shakes. And it's almost like because Herbalife at the point was doing like a MLM scheme, like a multi-level marketing, so they would have these affiliates that would like sign up with Herbalife and they would get a commission based on selling more Herbalife products. Amazing marketing tactic, amazing business model. But this would lead people to believe that, oh, they're consuming high protein meal replacement milkshakes. Whereas, like, when you really just turn the fucking label around and read it for yourself, you would realize there's not enough protein. There's fucking a lot of sugar that's added into it. And I want the Indian society to sort of wake up from this little fucking marketing propaganda and analyze every single thing for themselves. Indian society is literally the easiest market to fool right now, especially when it comes to nutrition, just because there isn't enough people like me or like knowledgeable people who, number one, have done the change for themselves, number two, have done the self analysis on the things they ate and the way it impacted their nutrition and the way it impacted their physiques and the way it impacted their health, as well as like just generally know and like the ins and outs of like the nutrition industry. And that is why the Indian population right now is the easiest population to fool when it comes to nutrition based products, because no one fucking knows anything. No one literally, and they literally do not know anything. Everything is straight from WhatsApp University. Like all these like WhatsApp articles being like circulated around like different WhatsApp groups, and like old ass people just like saying something like, oh, this shit's so good, this shit's so high in protein, blah 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 blah, and like people getting on fads and everything. Bro, success does not come from adding more things onto your existing little like routine. It's more from deleting all the bullshit and focusing on those few little things. The most successful people in the world, they don't just add more things into their day to churn out more like work, productivity, whatever. They reduce the amount of bullshit. Like, they are not like you and I, where every 5 minutes we go on Instagram to see like, oh, which chick posted an Instagram story, or oh shit, like let me just scroll for a little bit, let me relax or whatever. Like, they don't do all that stuff. They focus their energy into like select few things, and that is how they see success. So I want sort of like the Indian population to wake up, and like hopefully this video gets circulated. Like, please share this video with like friends and family who you think would like really benefit from all of this, because no one's saying this shit in today's time. So much misinformation in the Indian society about nutrition, especially amongst parents, because really parents control like what their kids eat and like what their kids are buying, etc, etc. So really like share this video with their parents and just tell them that, just like show it to them, open their eyes, because they probably are not as well versed like you and I to like go, like they don't even have the time to like go in, like, you know, really like put the time into all these things. But the thing is, the way I view it, health and fitness makes work so much easier, and especially like business. If you're like a business owner, health and fitness makes business so much easier, just because by the physical embodiment of your body, like by the work you've put in, it shows to the entire world, like whether you like it or not. Like, if I walk around, it naturally just shows to the entire world that, okay, this guy has put in some work into building his body. Little do people know that I had it worse than everyone else, like when it comes to like changing my body, everything. Like, I genuinely think that my transformation has been the best transformation on the internet. So I want people to sort of like realize for themselves that it's not really the age of like what's being marketed. It's about like where that information is coming from, who is telling you that information, and analyzing it for yourself. And if you sort of like start thinking about food and nutrition in this aspect, I promise you, you would never ever see you would never like cope with the idea that, oh yeah bro, like my genetics are just bad because I'm Indian, you know. Like, there is some level of truth to it, but for the most part, you're just like using it as a coping mechanism. Like, I also have Indian genetics. I still made the fucking change. If anything, if you have it worse than everyone else, and if you really believe that, yeah, my genetics are the worst, that's an even bigger motivation to work harder, change yourself, because now whatever progress you've made means 10 times more, just because you've had it worse than everyone else. The same way, if you make a millionaire into a multi-millionaire versus someone who like was working some minimum wage job into a millionaire, that's a bigger deal. That's a bigger jump. That's a 0 to 1 jump, which is extremely hard for most people. We need to do the same things with our health and nutrition, because that's the one thing we're stuck with for the rest of our lives. And if you don't take care of this body, you're not gonna like last long enough to like make whatever money you're trying to make. So if that's the excuse that, oh yeah, like I want to make money, I don't care about my health and fitness, like, good luck fucking getting past 35, bro. With all the fucking stuff that's circulating around, good luck getting past 35. But that's it for this video, and yep, I'll see you in the next one.